So, dear learners, today we are going to learn about Unit 6 Biodiversity, Values and Services. In this unit, we will understand about the biodiversity. Biodiversity is basically the term coined in 1992 in Earth Summit in Rio de Janeiro, in which it was define biodiversity as variability among the living organisms from all the sources. So basically, what is the variation between one organism to another organism is called biodiversity. So this biodiversity can vary with respect to various ecosystem. It can be terrestrial, marine, and other aquatic ecosystem. So terrestrial means land-based, marine means water-based, aquatic ecosystem. Based on the habitat, the biodiversity changes. So this is also a variability among the living organisms with respect to the aquatic or terrestrial ecosystem. So as the ecosystem will change, biodiversity will change. So there are different level of variability. One is called ecosystem biodiversity. Then next one is diversity within the species. Like for example, we have different type of rice varieties or wheat varieties. These are different species of a particular plant that is called rice or wheat. Then there is a diversity between the species and diversity between the ecosystem. So in total, biodiversity is sum total of all the variability which exists among the living organisms. So let us come to the first one, that is the genetic diversity. Genetic diversity is fundamental currency of diversity that is responsible for variation. Basically, when one egg and sperm they meet, they give birth to another individual in the form of zygote. So that is the, we call it as a gene from different organisms. They come together and form a new organism. So diversity of basic unit of hereditary information is called genetic diversity. So it is the main source of variation. For example, one mother and father, they have different children's. Like brother is different, sister is different, their son is different, daughter is different. All are different, although they have all they have the same parents. So basically, this is called genetic diversity. Similarly, we can have species diversity. Species diversity is differences between the species, and there are so many of the species. Like in mammals, we have 4,500 number of species. Then in birds, we have 10,000 species. Amphibians and reptiles, we have 12,000 of species. And in fishes, we have 22,000 of fishes. So we can understand how much diverse is the our biodiverse species. So basically, in particular area, the number of species which changes is called species diversity. These species can be domesticated also, and it can be in wild also. Domesticated, like when we have cattles in our home, then it can have different variety of cows, a different variety of goats, a different variety of buffaloes. And in wild we can know there are different type of species within the same forest. Then the level of diversity, what is the level of diversity in the species diversity? Like there are 4 lakh species of invertebrate, then 9 lakh 60,000 species of insects. So you can imagine how much of the insects exist in our earth. Then we have 2,70,000 species of plants, 70,000 species of fungi. Fungi, you know, na? Like we have mushrooms, these are the fungi. Then bacteria, all of us know what are the bacteria. These are small, small microorganisms. So there are 4,000 species of bacteria. Viruses, we all know there are so many of viruses. Many of the viruses are beneficial to us, and many viruses are cause disease also. Like we have recently COVID-19 virus. So there are 5,000 species of virus. So the third level of diversity is called ecosystem diversity. So depending on the type of ecosystem, whether it is aquatic, whether it is terrestrial, there is a variation in the diversity. So different species of animals, plants, and microorganisms, they interact with each other and with the physical environment. So these interactions maintain the life processes within the organism and is very important for the survival on their earth. Let us understand what are the biogeographic zones of a particular country. Like in India, we have 10 biogeographic zones. What are basically biogeographic zone? Biogeographic zone is depending on the depending on the physical geography of the area, the biodiversity in that particular area is different. So in India, we have 10 zone of biodiversity. The first one is the Trans-Himalayan region, and this covers an area of 186,200 square kilometer and mainly is located in the Ladakh and Lahore Spiti area. This Trans-Himalaya area, they have altitude between the 4,500 to 6,000 above the mean sea level. Then next one is the Himalayan. Himalayan is another high altitude area which is uh, covered over an area of 2,000 kilometer from east area to west area. Then the third zone is our Indian desert. In India, we have Thar is the one of the largest desert. Like in Africa country, we have Sahara as the largest desert, and we will come to the biogeographic zone of Africa in a minute. Then the fourth one is semi-arid area, which is in the central part of our country, and it covers 15% of total area. Then zone 5 is our Western Ghat. It is one of the biodiversity hotspots. What are biodiversity hotspots? We will understand in few minutes. Biodiversity hotspots are the area which are highly within a small region. There are the biodiversity is very large, very huge, and many species are endemic to that area. Endemic means you can find that animals or plants which are localized and special, they exist only specially in that particular area. So we say that those plants are endemic to that area. So based on their endemism, based on the biodiversity, an area can be defined as a hotspot. Then in zone 6, we have the Deccan Peninsula. This is the largest area of the India, which covers about 43% of the total landmass. Then we have deciduous forest, thorn forest, and we have in zone 7 we have Gangetic Plain. Gangetic Plain is our area which is mainly covered by the largest river, which is River Ganga, and it has the most fertile area. So in India, much of the cultivation occurs in the floodplain area and the fertile area of this Gangetic Plain. Then in zone 8, we have northeast area, which is the transition area between the India, Indo-Malayan and Indo-Chinese area, and it is the meeting point of mountains and peninsular India. Then zone 9 we have islands. We have Andaman Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal in the eastern part of India, and we have Lakshadweep Islands within the western part of India, that is the Arabian Sea. Then zone 10 is our coastal area. We have east coast area and we have west coast area. So these are the total 10 biogeographic geographic zones of the India. So now we come to the biogeographic zones of Africa. In Africa also we have 10 major biogeographic geographic zones of places where they can be defined as a biodiverse, and they are segregated based on the physical and the biological diversity of that particular area. Let us come to the first biogeographic zone, that is Sahara Desert. Sahara Desert is the largest hot desert in the world, which is mainly characterized by the highly arid zone and is basically consists of sand zone, sand dunes and the rocky plateaus. And the vegetation here are very sparse and very drought resistance plant occur then. Then the second biogeographic zone is Sahel. Sahel is the located in the southern part of the Sahara Desert, and this area is less hotter than the Sahara Desert, and it has seasonal rainfall. So it has a mix of grassland and shrubland. So basically, Sahel is a transitional area between the desert area and the fertile area of the zone. Then the third biogeographic zone is the savanna. Savanna is a portion of sub-Saharan Africa, which is characterized by the grassland and the scattered tree. So these savanna they have a diverse range of wildlife and have many of the herbivores like elephants, giraffes, and there are many predators in this area. Then the fourth one is the tropical rainforest. The Congo Basin in the Central Africa is one of the world largest tropical rainforest. Okay, so the this area is highly biodiverse because this area experiences very high rainfall and they have lush vegetation and huge biodiversity. This area is also have a very unique and endangered species such as gorilla and chimpanzee. Then the fifth one is the Mediterranean zone, and this area is mainly covers the countries like Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, and this climate have a mild, wet winters and hot, dry summers. So this area also support diverse floral and fauna. Then the eastern highlands, they have Ethiopian highlands and high elevations and cooler temperatures. These areas have unique plant and species adapted to monotonous terrain. Desert and arid land are the next biogeographic important areas, such as Kalahari deserts in the southern Africa and Namib deserts along the southwestern coast. These areas they have distinct ecosystem with the adapted wildlife and plant life. Then the last one is the coastal and marine zones. These, as you know, that Africa is having a very large coastline, very long, and it covers Atlantic Ocean, then Indian Ocean, and the Red Sea. So because of these three oceanic places, there are many of the coastal and marine ecosystem exist of that which are a transitional nature, like mangroves to coral reefs. So they support a lot of marine area and coastal communities. Then again we have islands. In islands like Madagascar Islands, Canary Islands, these islands they have high level of endemism because these islands are isolated. So they can develop a endemic species which are unique to that islands. Then we have freshwater ecosystems. Many of the large river like Nile River, Congo River, Lake Victoria, they support a large number of freshwater ecosystems. So let us now understand what are the biodiversity hotspots. Hotspots are the area which are very highly rich in species and they have endemism and are in constant threat. In the entire earth, we have 34 biodiversity area and of which 1.4%, which covers 1.4% of the land's earth surface. 44% are vascular plants, 35% are vertebrates, and 96% was threatened primate species occur in this place. In India, we have four biodiverse hotspots like Himalayan region, then Western Ghats, Indo-Burma region, and Sundan land. Okay, so these four hotspots they have highly endemic species. About 33% of the flora are endemic to these species. And 49,219 plant species exist in this area. Then 5,150 are endemic to this area and they correspond to the various 30% of the world's recorded flora. India has 26 endemism centers, that is nearly third of all the flowering plant. Okay, and there are three biomes which exist in India, that is the tropical humid forest, tropical deciduous forest, and warm desert and semi desert. In uh, in our earth we have 18 countries. They have 70% of world's bioresource. So these are India, China, Zaire, and Indonesia. Philippines, South Africa, Congo, these have a lot of species richness and species endemism. What is species richness? Species richness is the diversity within a small area, large number of species are there, so we can say that area is having more number of species or that area is having very high biodiversity value. Species endemism, this we have already told you that species are endemic to a particular area. Then we have endemism in flowering plants. Then coral reef is another extremely biodiverse area. Generally, when we see the trend, it is seen that economically poor developing country in tropical area are more richer in biodiversity and than the developed country in the temperate area. Why? Because in most of the developed country, they have already destroyed their forest and converted into development places. In planet Earth, basically, we have two major green lungs. The first one is the Amazon forest, that is the largest rainforest which is there in the South America. And the second Green lungs is in Congo Basin rainforest, which is in Africa. So this rainforest accounts for 10% of the biodiversity and covers more than 3.6 million area of the six countries like Cameroon, Central Africa Republic, Republic of Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, Gabon, and Equatorial Guinea. Okay, so these six countries they have this Congo Basin river forest. In Africa, we have eight biodiversity hotspots. The first one is the Cape Floristic region, which is located in the South Africa, and it is the world's fifth Mediterranean climate zone between the hotspot and contains non-tropical concentration of higher vascular plants. Thus, it has exceptional plant diversity, including the fynbos vegetation. This area boasts numerous endemic plant species and is home to several endemic birds and animals. The second one is Guyana Union Forest of West Africa. This is the area which is located in the West Africa, and this have rainforest which is covered in the countries like Sierra Leone, Siberia, Ivory Coast, and Ghana. This area has more than one quarter of the Africa's mammal species, and more than 20 species of primates occur in this area. But this area is highly susceptible to threatening because of the logging, because of the mining, hunting, and ever growing population. The third one is the succulent Karo, which is located in the South Africa and Namibia. This area is characterized by the arid climate and is home to various succulent plants. This area also have aloes and euphorbias and is known for the high level of plant endemism. This area is also threatened by a lot of wrong practices like grazing, agriculture, and mining. Then the fourth one is the Eastern Afro-Montane. This hotspot encompasses region of the East Africa, Ethiopian highlands, Mount Kenya, and Eastern Arc Mountain of the Tanzania. This area supports numerous endemic species, particularly in the high altitude area. Then the fifth one is the Horn of Africa. Horn of Africa, they covers the part of Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, and Djibouti. It is known for highest number of endemic reptiles, and they have lot of endemic and threatened antelope. This area is highly threatened because of devastating by the overgrazing and charcoal harvesting. So these are the area having arid and semi-arid environment. Then the sixth one is Manuputa land, Ponta land, Albany. We also in short form say MAPA. This area is located in the southeastern coast of South Africa, and it has hotspot covering of coastal and terrestrial ecosystem. This area is also having high amount of endemic species. Nearly 600 tree species occur in this area, and it has the world's highest tree diversity of any temperate forest. This area is having endemic plants like birds of paradise. This area is again having white rhinos, which is again going to extinct in few years. So we need a lot of conservation approach to prevent them, prevent the extinction of these species. Then next one is the Madagascar and Indian Ocean Islands. This is Madagascar is the fourth largest island and is known for incredible biodiversity, exceptional biodiversity, with a high percentage of species which is not found in any place in the earth. It also has Indian Ocean islands such as chalets and comoros, and they contributes to this hotspots. This Madagascar, they have more than 50 lemur species, almost from which 15 have become extinct. Then coastal forest of Eastern Africa is another hotspot which has exceptional level of biodiversity, which has African violets and many primates which are endemic to this area. Then Albertine Rift is mountainous regions of East and Central Africa and is mainly located in the mountain area. This area has high level of endemism and have critically endangered mountain gorillas. So these were the 8 biologically or biodiverse hotspots of the Africa. Now we come to the uses of biodiversity. The biodiversity can be used as two forms: direct use and indirect use. Direct use are the values of the biodiversity are the goods that is we obtain from the biodiverse place, like wood or food. We directly take the timber and cut down it and we use it. So and when we clear the forest because of agriculture, because of medicine industry, all these uses will be diminished. Then the second one is the indirect form. Indirect form can be also called as a non-extractive use, in which it does not have we don't have to extract or remove that resource from the area. Indirect use has a non-consumptive value also. So this area, these uses, they have they can be for the welfare of the society or for the ecological process. Then we can have aesthetic value. We go and see the biodiversity. It give calmness to our mind, emotional places where we get happiness. It has aesthetic beautiful values. So aesthetic values, like when we go to a national park or botanical area, then we have many we appreciate the nature's beauty, and we um, tend to preserve them for this for our purpose. Then we have cultural and religious value. Many of the animals, they are conserved because they are symbolized as one of the um, for a component for the culture values or religious value. For example, in when we say in Hindu culture, in Indian Hindu culture, We have tigers, we have lions, lizards, turtles. They are basically the vehicle for god and goddesses. So we tend to preserve or conserve these animals. Then there is a monkey, or Hanuman Langur is considered as a god form. So the various animals, they are being associated with the cultural and the religious value. Then we have ethical values of the biodiversity. Ethical values of biodiversity contains the intrinsic value of biodiversity, which we use for their own sake, and they have varied economic, social, and cultural uses. Basically, it is associated with the values. We cannot values are for things and entities which we do not use it, but when it is not there, when then we consider that it is being lost. So now we come to the next unit, which is called energy resources. Energy resources, there are two type of energies. One is conventional and one is non-conventional. So what is the difference between conventional and non-conventional? Conventional means the energy resources which we have been using for our industrial purpose or for our agriculture purpose or many development process. So we have initially used fossil fuels and petroleum, coal, petroleum, and use it for a power driven activity. Like we use coal for running the for using as a fuel for burning. Then we use petrol and diesel to drive our vehicles. So we are using energy in that form. Then we have natural gas also. Natural gas is also used as an energy process. Then we have the energy which is from the we generate from the water. So we call it as a hydropower or hydroelectric source of energy. Then we have atomic energy. See, all the elements on this earth, they have atoms in them, and certain atoms, they have the we can harness that energy. Like you must be knowing how the nuclear fusion and fission occurs, how we use hydrogen bombs, how we use the nuclear power. So these are the conventional sources of energy. Then what are the non-conventional? Non-conventional means those energies which we have not been using, but we are now going to harness it, and it has more of the sustainable values. For example, biomass energy. Then we have solar energy. Biomass energy is the energy which we get from the burning of biomass, basically. Then we have solar energy which we get from the sun, or then fuel cells energy are the energy which we get from the fuels. And then we have geothermal energy. These are the energies which we get from the within the earth. Then we have cogeneration energy, which is basically when we say the cogeneration energy, which means heat or water. Then, like when we have more than one form of energy, we will say it is a cogeneration. We will understand about these in few minutes. Then we have wind energy or tidal energy. We use the strong wind and use it as an energy purpose. Let us understand about these non-conventional sources of energy in great details. The first one is biomass energy. Biomass energy is basically what? Biomass is basically the biomass when a animal and plant they become dead, that result into the biomass. So it is a very important source of fuel after the coal, oil, and natural gas. So, very recently we have started using the biomass and use it for the domestic purpose. So, basically, for this fuel, we have a biomass gasifier, which function is that they convert this solid biomass, both the wood form and the powdery form, and it will have agriculture waste, and we will convert into the gasifying process. So, a gasifier will convert this solid form of fuels to a more convenient gas form of the fuel. Then the second one is the solar energy. Solar energy is the energy which is we get from the radiation, solar radiation. So it can be used for the various purpose, like we can get hot water during the winter and it can be used as a refrigerator. So basically we have small solar photovoltaic panels which harness the solar radiation and convert this radiation into electricity. In our in many parts of the world including India, we have been using the solar energy for many domestic lighting purpose or street lights. Many of the villages they are completely electrified using the solar electricity. Then we have been using the solar energy for pumping the water from the underground, or it can be used for the desalinization process of the salt water. It can be used for telecommunications and the railway signals. So these figures we can understand how the solar energy can be converted into a solar water heating system. In these figures we can see that there is um, solar panel, and this is a solar panel, and this will collect the solar radiation and it is collected in the tap, and this design is developed so that it can be used for the many purpose, like it can be used as a boiler and it can be used for heating and cooling purpose. Then the third one is the fuel cells. Basically, what are fuel cells? When a fuel cell is uh, energy or between the electrodes. I think you must all know a lithium batteries. These are basically the true electrode. So it is basically using the electrochemical devices and convert the chemical energy of a fuel to heat and electricity. So basically, most of the hydrogen fuels are being used as a fuel cells. So oxygen is passed through the electrode and the hydrogen will be taken away and they will be electrochemically converted to electricity, water and heat. So where we use basically fuel cells. These fuel cells are used in the spacecraft or Now it is being used in electrical vehicle also. Many fuel cell powered electrical vehicles are there, which are more energy efficient and is also very clean in nature. Clean in the sense it does not cause any pollution. Nowadays, the fuel cell system is used in many of the power generation in commercial buildings or in hospitals or in airports in the local area. Then we come to the wave and tidal energy. Wave and tidal energy is the energy which is from the waves or the tides. So water level, they will generate electricity and run through the irreversible turbo generators. The energy carried by water in hilly area are used to generate into the fast flowing streams. So the first wave energy was formed with the capacity of 150 megawatt, sorry, and is located in the Tiruvananthapuram in India. So the wave and the tidal energy are used to have electricity. So this is the figure which is depicting how the tidal power station can be used. So here we can see that there is a sea. So we have uh, low tide and high tide area, and between the low tide and high tide, there is a lot of water movement, and this water movement will cause changes in the air in that area, and this change, sudden change in the air, will cause the air turbine to move, and it will be captured in the generator. So with this we can use the tidal energy associated with the ocean. As you know, the tides are formed in the oceans due to the gravitational force of water because by the moon. So we have full moon and we have no moon days on which we have extremely high tidal situation. So during that period, we can harness more and more of the tidal resource. So it is basically a very highly natural and clean source of energy. Then the next non-conventional form of energy is geothermal energy. Geothermal energy is basically the energy which is present in the volcanoes or the hot springs or the geysers. So basically, this is the energy which is generated from the earth crust, and we can use that heat energy for um, a variety of sources. Like for example, in USA, water is pumped from the underground, and that hot water is used to heat the houses in the colder climates. So the natural source of water, hot water, can be used as a source of energy. And this energy is also used in India. For example, in India we have north and western part of Himalaya, which have a lot of geothermal area. So in this area we have around 350 hot spring sites. These hot spring sites, this hot spring area, they have highly um, medicinal water value also in these hot springs. Then Geological Survey of India, they have identified this area, and now these hot springs are used to generate electricity also. One of the very successful example is in Ladakh area in Punga Valley. In Punga Valley, there is a power generation of 1 kilowatt, and this small, even though it is a small power generation project, but still it can be used for many of the activities like poultry farming or mushroom cultivation or the pashmina wool processing, which all needs a high temperature. So basically, geothermal energy is the heat energy of the earth crust, and we are using it for our purpose. Then next form of the non-conventional is the cogeneration. As you know, in science we use a terminology which has a meaning. So when we say cogeneration, it means more than one source of energy. So it is a concept of producing two form of energy from a fuel is called as a cogeneration. For example, when a fuel is generating heat and is also releasing the mechanical energy. So we can say that a source of energy is producing cogeneration energy. A best example for this is a conventional thermal power plant. In conventional thermal power plant, we are generating heat also and we are generating electricity also. So there is a huge amount of benefit when we say a cogeneration. Why? Because the energy efficiency of such cogeneration unit is highly improved. When we use one source of energy, then there are high chances of loss of heat or energy. But when we say cogeneration, then the energy which is being lost is again used in another form. Then we have wind energy. Wind energy is the energy which we say it is a power of our winds. The strong current of wind can be used as an energy form. In millions of years before also, we have been using wind energy primarily for sailing purpose. And now it has been widely used for grinding the grains and for irrigation also. So wind energy is now harnessed to form the windmills and the wind turbines, and that can transform the energy present in the wind into mechanical power. And it can be used for many purposes like grinding of cereal or lifting of water from the underground or even for generating electricity. So the all the area which is having a strong winds, there we can set up wind turbines or windmills and use this power of energy. Then we have biogas as the non-conventional source of energy. In biogas, basically we use cattle dung. Cattle dung is the waste from the cattles. So the cattles which are domesticated, the animal form or excreta are used to form the biogas, and basically this it has 70% of the methane gas. So when we use it efficiently, then it can be used even for cooking fuel also. Many of the water weeds like water hyacinth, water lettuce, salvinia, hydrilla, these are also used along with the cattle dung to make it a more efficient source of fuel. Biogas is also used as a source of a steam for running engines or machines in the factories and turbines to generate the electricity. So in this figure, this is a in this figure we can see here we have a cattle, and the cattle is having the excreta. This excreta or cattle waste we are using in the biogas generator, and the heat generating from this biogas, because of the anaerobic decomposition, this is releasing the methane, and this methane gas can be used for cooking or heating purpose. And then again, during the process of heating or cooking, carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere, which is again used by the plants to form the photosynthesis. Let us now understand about the conventional sources of energy. So the first one is oil. Oil is almost 30% of the India's energy, and India has been importing crude oil from the various countries. And in India, we have a lot of refineries, like in Bombay, we have, then we have Assam, Cambay, Krishna, Godavari, and Kaveri basins. Natural gas is another form of conventional energy, which is basically used for the power generation, fertilizer, and petrochemical production. Nowadays, our in India, we are converting more into the renewable form of energy. So natural gas is one of the renewable form of energy. So extensive use of natural gas is also helping in reducing the dependence of our country on the oil. So, and also there are absence of sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide and nitrogen oxide. So this is a more cleaner source of energy. Then coal is another form of energy which is being used for conventionally as a source of energy. In India, we have huge coal reservoir, but as you know, coal is a non-renewable source of energy. So slowly and slowly its reserves are getting depleted. So there are India is having about 8% of the world's total coal reserve, and 3% of the coal is in form of coking coal and is essentially used in India's steel industry. So steel industry is the main source which is using the coking coal, and the need of this coal is so much that India has to import that coking coal to meet its annual needs. Then we have hydropower as another form of conventional sources, and this is one of the cheapest and cleanest and the best source of energy. However, the um, area, because this hydropower are generated by construction of dams, and dams they require a lot of areas which are covered with the water. So the formation so the when we construct these dams, there are a lot of environmental environmental degradation of the forest. So, although we say that this is the most cleanest and cheapest form of energy, but it has a lot of environmental degradation values, and but still it is being used in the many remote areas and rural area where it is not possible to have the grid supply of the electricity. In that area, the places are extensively dependent on the hydropower electricity. Then atomic energy is another form of conventional energy, which is basically the energy released by splitting of a atom in a controlled manner. So when the energy is uncontrolled, so it can cause the disasters, like we have um, bombs, and this is that are uncontrolled manner of release of energy. But when we have a controlled manner of atomic energy, then it can be used as a source of generation of electricity. So basically, reactors, atomic, or we can also say that nuclear reactors are used to produce the heat, which is used to generate the steams for rotating the turbines for generating electricity. Uranium is one of the important atomic energy which has been extensively used as a clean, efficient, and source of energy, and is now thinking to be a substitute for our coal and petroleum. In India, we have Nuclear Power Corporation of India, and they have started many of the nuclear power reactors, which can generate the power and electricity. In India, we have many non-polluting energy systems also, like we have improved chulhas. In improved chulhas, what is that? We have converted that firewood into more of the smokeless chulhas. We have combined the various sources of energy, like biomass energy, and make it more efficient, so that when we use such kind of energy, then it will have um, less harmful effect on the environment, and also less harmful effect on the health of the people. So these are basically improved chulhas, which are dependent on the biogas plant and is extensively used in many part of the rural areas. And slowly a lot of workforce of the villagers, these are trained so that they can have more of the improved chulhas to have better energy source. And this will also prevent the less dependent on the uh, pl- uh, forest produce. Then we have energy from the city sewage. The sewage treatment plants, they uses anaerobic digestive units by extracting methane from from the soils and use it to form the sludge. And this sludge is can be used to form the electricity and energy. So in the last, we can understand that to address the energy demand, we should have less of the population growth. The per capita economic growth in less developed area. So if we have real energy prices, expected income levels, then we can convert into the traditional non-conventional sources to commercial fuels. And there is a shift from energy intensive activities due to the urbanization and industrialization. So this is all for the today's session, and we need to have more of the energy demands in an area. For this, we should have less of the population growth and per capita economic growth in less developed countries. So this is all we end this session, and if there is any questions. So if no questions, we can wind up the session for today's. Happy learning.